This meeting is being recorded, it said. So again, welcome everybody and happy Memorial Day weekend to you.
Hope you're out there having a lot of fun this weekend, because that's what this is all about, celebrating the wonderful world that we live in, the country that we live in, and celebrating all those people that have sacrificed for us and
Yes, in light of
honoring
that,
them.
in honoring those that have paid the ultimate price, given their life for the freedom that we have in America, that inspired me earlier in the week to realize how important it is that we never forget the freedom that we have. And so thank you for all those who were looking down upon us, who gave of their lives before. And sometimes there's a confusion about Memorial Day, that it's just to remember all veterans, but that's Veterans Day. And sometimes it's about, well, we should be remembering everybody who passed away. That's pretty honorable too. But in the spirit of giving of ourselves for the sake of American freedom, we want to dedicate this call to all of those who made this country what it is and made a business like ours possible. Earlier in the week, we were talking about freedom and how important it is. And it really went to the core of what Navan is offering. And I think that I want to share this because it's part of my reason for being with this spirited company. And the commitment to that, the dedication to that, I think opens up so many doors. I've found a lot of members who get real excited about a product or two, and they focus on the product and they share the product, they give the product away, sometimes they sell the product, and that's beautiful. But if we look beyond that and realize that the benefit of that, and maybe the benefit of that, is that people start to get part of their life restored. They get some movement back in their life. They get a day without pain. They get more life coming back in. And as Chip has pointed out many times, what starts to happen is that we grow younger through the use of these products. So we're extending people's lives and extending their freedom and extending their range of vitality. And with that comes the possibilities that people begin to dream again. Like, I don't mean dream during the nighttime. I'm talking about allowing the imagination to say, instead of, oh, if only I could do this, they begin to say, you know what, I would like to do this thing again. I would like to do this one thing again that I thought I had to give up. There's so many examples that come to mind, whether it's more time in different activities or travels in different ways. I'm carrying this focus as far as I can here because that thought that I had the other day lasted quite a long time. And I got tuned into what Navan talks about with its N3 concept. You know, the N3 of Navan stands for part of the mission of the company, and that is to educate, empower, and encourage. And that really begins wherever we start with Navan. We may educate somebody to the possibilities that the company offers, or educate somebody to the benefit of a product that might help them. And then we have that transaction in which they begin with a product or with some other part of this, and then their life becomes enriched. And they say, maybe for the first time, I think I'd like to do this. And we encourage that. So we encourage it here at the end of this month because of Navan's encouragement and because of the encouragement of Trey and some other people who have been guests on his calls recently, a lot of great things happened. One of the guests on our call tonight, Dan Doherty, is celebrating the completion of Sapphire. Great, Dan, right?
Congratulations, Dan.
We have some people that probably will tune into this call a little bit later, and they'll just know who they are because of their accomplishments. But and this week there were some people that
we've had people that well, our latest one was somebody who, you know, in the last few weeks we've been talking about bringing people in and being a manager maker. And if we teach people to be a manager, then that really is the key to doing this. And this week, Patty Manzano brought somebody in on one day, and in that day, that very same day, she became a manager elite. So she bought her products and she doubled her income in that day. Just like within 10 minutes of her coming in, she sponsored 2 other people into the business too, and became a manager elite immediately. Doubled her income, and is like, oh, that was so exciting to see that. We've had other people that have repeated being director again. They did it again. Patty, one of them, and Patty and Alex, another one, June Hance, she's not on the call with us, and an executive. And it's been an exciting couple of days. You know, we're in California, we're visiting our grandchildren, and I didn't even take my paperwork with me. And I'm writing on the back of the hotel paper on everything that happened in the last 2 days when the company decided to open up the sale again and run that event special. And it just was wonderful to see that. I'm sure, Dan, you probably experienced the same thing of, you know, people were just scrambling to make the last minute changes and things happening. And it was really fun to watch. It really was. And I think about the freedom that we have to make those kinds of choices, you know, make the choice to be a part of something that's so big and so great that we can be free of our time. For us to be able to be here in California, traveling and being here with our grandchildren and our daughter and son-in-law, and still be able to, you know, be on a call tonight at 4:30. And it's kind of fun. I mean, I think it's a lot of fun to be able to do that. You know, I just think it's wonderful.
I like other people's successes too. It rubs off. The enthusiasm of it all rubs off. It's kind of how I met Dan. Let's go back to maybe January or February. And
December the 11th is when we actually signed up. And then you called us, I think, the following week sometime.
Because I'd heard about your quick start. What a good start it was. So Dave Johnson was telling me about you. So I thought, well, I need to talk to you. How'd you do so much so quickly? And I called as a student. I said, I want to know what's going on. And Dan just enlightened me about how his focus was on helping his team and that he was well-versed in what we have to offer, which I think that's important, you know, just to know the marketing plan and know how to help people step into it and build it. And he said the most remarkable thing. He's talking from the heart, really honestly. Dan, you've helped our group because of what you said. So I want to give you credit for that. Dan said, you know, I'm asking people an awful lot. And I'm asking an awful lot of people to come into this company with either a $500 or $1,000 start when they hardly know me and they hardly know what we're talking about. Maybe they've listened to a 7-minute video, but I'm asking them to make a pretty great commitment. So that's hard to do. So to make that step easier, Dan put himself on the line and said that he would be willing to back up that product commitment. I don't know exactly your words at this point, Dan, but that's how I interpreted it.
Pretty close. I mean, if you want me to say something, I can.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Please share your story.
You know, I actually knew these people pretty well, but not in this venue. And so when I called them, I said, I'm asking you to make a decision on far less information than I made my decision on.
Yeah.
And therefore, to help me out, I'm asking you to do that in a timely fashion because we are trying to grow faster. And I'll buy back anything you don't open, or I'll buy back what you open. I don't care. But we were actually looking to get product back anyway. And that we were not successful at because nobody wanted to give us product back. But we did eventually have a couple of people do that, and it has kept everything as good as can be. There's no, you know, well, I wish I hadn't have done that. It was actually, I'm really glad I had an opportunity to do that actually. It just doesn't seem to be a fit for me. So no, it was really, really good. But at some point in time, I want to talk a little bit about you too, but go ahead, do what you want to do here.
See, that was virtue in action. There's two virtues within that, Dan. And I think whenever we act with virtue, good things happen. You had honesty and you had generosity. And you honestly talked about yourself. Now, in our calls, we've done some training concepts and we've talked about telling the I story, the personal story. And I think that that's where those virtues come in again, too, because we're courageous, we're talking about our story, and we're honest about it. I know that we're going to share this call with some other people, so I'll be a little repetitious and tell my story. Dave Johnson was telling me back in September about his remarkable recovery from a pretty serious illness. And we had been bike riding, and while he was talking to me, I stopped and I had to listen in detail because both my parents died of cancer, and to think that something could cure or prevent or make a difference, I needed to know about it. And so he told me about the simplicity of the daily detox drops. And I said, well, I'd like to learn more about it. Well, wisely, Dave also continued the conversation and asked me about my retirement. He said, how's your retirement going? I had retired a year before, after 40 some years in psychology. And I said, you know, it's okay. And I think he heard the implied message. And okay, you know, okay is not great, you know. Fantastic. So what is it? And I said, the whole idea of fixed income is kind of limiting. And then he said, a power question. What if you could change that? What if it's a way to change it? And I knew exactly what he was talking about because the product was already framed within the context of a network marketing opportunity. I had a lot to think through at that point because of our involvement and investment in another company. But it was easy, even though there was a lot to think about. It was easy because this was a brand new, relative, brand new company with a unique opportunity. And it didn't take me long. It took me a few hours to digest some information about what great leadership we have at corporate. And so I made an emotional decision, not based on a product need per se, but largely on the power of the prevention of the product. But more importantly, of the common sense thought was, if I can do this and set some goals, we can solve that financial difficulty that I was calling financial boredom or limited income. And from the beginning, I think from that first day, we were setting goals. And I think you did too, Dan. You set goals. You're not the kind of person to say, let's see what happens and then we'll set a goal. You set a goal and then said, now let's see what happens with this goal, right? So we flip it around. And I wish it was so easy to help other people think that way from the beginning, that a goal is nothing more than a decision to give to yourself something that you might want. But isn't that exciting to think that here at the end of this month, we're also getting a head start on the next month, because we can indeed do that. We can set a goal tonight for the future, for future goals for the month of June.
Yeah, and we know there's some exciting changes going to be made in June when they have the convention in Nashville. And so we know that that's going to help us reach a goal, whatever goal you set. These changes I know are going to help make it. Now, I don't know anything about what they are, but it just sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting. So I know it's going to benefit all of us. Absolutely.
Cool. I ask questions that I need to ask. So I asked my mentor and my sponsor, I said, about how many people does it take in a group to have some momentum going? And he said something like, oh, 3. Right. You think about that. You have 3 people in your group starting, you're on your way. You're a manager, maybe even a director. But I was thinking bigger numbers. An early goal that Ann and I set that none of you know about is that I had it in my mind that we would have 100 people in our group within a few months. And we just achieved that over the weekend here. We now have over 100 people in our Navan family group. So that's a goal realized. It's exciting. I know we don't get paid on the numbers of people, but it's a celebration nevertheless to look at 100 people. We're influencing the lives of 100 families. There was a month before that Patsy shared with us and Barb shared with us when at the beginning of the month we said, what kind of a goal would you like to have this month? And there was a lot of people that made director as a result of setting that goal. Yeah.
Well, and then Barb made the executive.
Made a goal of executive.
Goal,
yeah.
And she made executive. Yeah, 2 months in a row. So it's like,
yeah.
It's important.
3
months in a row.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's right. Sorry.
No, well, when I dig into my bag of mental tricks, truth. One of the things that I know is that if we set an intention into our mind, it's like pushing a button and reality will form around that intention, because consciously and unconsciously, it affects what we do, what we think, what we say. So I have a challenge for us. I know we got many minutes left before the end of the call, but this challenge question is, if you think about you, and I'm not talking about an external goal like I'd like to accomplish X amount of dollars or such a rank. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a goal internally. Like if you could identify for yourself what you would like to be feeling at the end of the month of June. Would you want a celebration feeling? And what would cause that celebration feeling? I'm not asking you for you to acknowledge that out loud right now, but just begin with the thought. If you were to start the month with the idea of what feeling you want to have 1 month from now, then what would lead to that? And what singular activity could we do each and every day that would lead to that? I was talking to Dave Johnson earlier in the week, and he said, you know, a person in network marketing can get everything they need and want by simply making phone calls. He left it at that. Sometimes the phone call is to a friend. Sometimes it's a call to a loved one or a mentor. Sometimes it's a call to a team member. But you get the idea. If we stay connected and have conversations about what we're doing, I think that great goals will be achieved. I remember Dan said to me on that first phone call, that one of his target goals was to be at Ruby. Ruby in Navan. I got thinking about that. That's a nice, comfortable goal to have. Dan's been with Navan now for 4 or 5 months, and I'm sure he's stretched that up to emerald or even diamond. So I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. But the challenge is this: would you be willing to start the month of June with a declared goal for yourself? I would.
Say that again.
Would you be willing to start the month of June with a goal declared? A goal for yourself declared.
This is for everybody.
This is for everybody. Would everybody on the call be willing to start the month of June with a goal declared?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, the challenge part is that tell somebody else what that goal is. And again, not now, not on this call. If you can expect this, I will call you and tell you what my goal is. Oh, Tips is writing. I will call you and tell you what my goal is.
For the month of June.
Month of June, okay? You're gonna write it down.
You write it down. Write it down. Dan, you want to add anything?
well, I don't look at it as adding maybe, but to be a part of what you guys are doing, I really appreciate that a lot. And I have to say that there are several, not a bunch, but there are several people we've met and had interaction with our short time so far. And you guys are part of why I point to why I'm doing this.
Oh,
And I know that it was a little confusing when Dave first called me. I didn't have any problem with him calling me, of course.
But
But
who are you? Right.
the confusing part was, first off, he was asking me about what we were doing, and we kind of went over that. But then he started talking about what he did for his life's work before, and he didn't say why he was bringing that up. Well, it turns out that it intersected with a need that we have in our family in a very, very meaningful way for me. And we've made some really good contact with one of my boys over that information, and he does continue to use the product. Rocco's getting better, and James is getting better too. It seems. And how can you put a price or any value on these kind of interactions and your willingness to take calls? And I really do appreciate that as something extremely special. And Chip is the one of those other guys for me. I probably talk to Chip, I don't know, 5 or 10 times a week, maybe. But
Well, we
um,
made a decision then, didn't we, to be friends?
what's that?
We made a decision back then to be friends.
Well,
That opens the door to a lot of give and take.
that was pretty easy.
That would be cool sometime in the future to have your son and some of his buddies on this call. And we'll do testimonials around the issues that have made some progress.
Yeah, that would be good. I think he'd be open for that too. He
Yeah.
works on Sundays right now, so I don't know how that's going to work out timing wise. But yeah, he's got some challenges that some of us don't have. But anyway, he made executive this month too for the first time,
Wonderful.
That's great.
All right.
Great.
which was nice.
Well, there'll be many blessings in sharing all of that.
Yeah.
But I guess I'd like to clarify me as a person a little bit differently, just so there's not a misunderstanding. I'm really not much of a goal oriented guy as far as setting something. I guess I was gonna I was gonna send you this in a picture format, Dave, but I'll just read it to you. So I wrote down, this is my goal. You talk about an eternal goal, internal
Yeah.
goal. And this is what it is actually, to hear good and faithful servant enter into the joy of your Lord. That's my goal. And how that all practically works out, I look at the marketing plan. I think maybe Chip can explain some of that. And I leverage what I understand is possible just with my limited understanding. And so we sponsored 24 people the first 20 days, and 6 of those people were executives, and we were not we were the exec. I'm sorry, and they were all I forgot the terms now. See how good I am.
They were directors.
Directors?
Yeah.
Director, yeah, we had 6 directors out of the company's 13, and we were the only executive into this December month. And so I I didn't set a goal. I didn't know what a goal was, as far as it reflected to the marketing plan at that point. I called my son 2 days after we had signed up, and he had looked at some information. I sent him some information. He didn't look at that. He just went online and found out about the company, and so he was ready to sign up. So we had our initial cost of joining the company paid back in 2 days. But um, anyway, so I'm really glad to be along. Like I said, glad to have some friends on the call, and we meet more friends all the time.
Absolutely. And you will too, even more when being in Nashville. It's just amazing to
Yeah.
think going to Nashville and these calls are going to be in Nashville, and I'm so excited that they're going to go because
Yeah.
really does confirm what this company is all about. They talk so much about the freedom and the ability to build something that is beyond what we've ever been able to do in any other network marketing company before. And it is so true because if you look at all the different network marketing plans we've ever looked at, they were never any better than what we already had. And this one is far superior than what we had. So it's pretty amazing. And when you get to Nashville and you hear Trade Talk, it's so important. You meet in person and meet Neil Roth and Kyle and Christy, and it's just, and then people that we've been talking on the phone with across the phone lines here, where we see them on a video, but we don't get to actually talk to them and shake their hand. And you're one of them, Dan. They'll actually meet in person, and it'll be really good.
I'm looking for that too.
It is. It's going to be awesome. It really is.
Yeah, and a few minutes ago, you said something that I think has even greater value than goal setting. I recently read this in a book called Atomic Habits. And the concept of atomic is at electron level, like really small. And the person's message is real simple. You can make big changes in your life by making these small steps. I'm going to explain this if I can without drawing a picture. So imagine a bullseye with 3 concentric rings, and in the middle of the bullseye, the target is the bullseye. And that circle represents our identity. And if we can make an identity message, then greater changes are going to happen than if we focus on trying to change something at the activity level. You also talk about the process. That's maybe the second ring. And the third ring, the farthest one out, are things we want to achieve. The cliche goals. I want to achieve this rank or that money or that something out there. And not that it's a bad thing to have that goal, but it's not as powerful as focusing on our process, which is the middle ring, like the process of talking to somebody every day about Navan's opportunity. But even greater change is to make a statement at the core of ourselves, the identity. And it would sound like this. I am the kind of leader who provides support and training through calls. The second level would sound like this. And my calls each week will have a moment of celebration, a moment of enthusiasm, a moment of teaching points, and shared testimonials for the sake of inspiration. And if I do those things in that activity group, not only will the call be better, but the outcome will be better. The outcome is the outer part of the ring. So the author is talking about, don't focus on the outside of the ring, focus on the core, the heart of this, and what you did, Dan, is you made an I statement about being the kind of person that you want to be with this opportunity.
Mhm.
Right. And so I think if we were all able to do something like that, like to identify yourself as a leader who not only consumes product, but shares that benefit with other people with the intention of raising up the quality of their life, making an improvement for everybody we meet, then I promise us that unbelievably great things will happen. So that's my intention. And I suppose we could say my intention is my goal. And on the other side of that, we'll have the outcomes of that within 30 days.
Sounds good.
Chip, I want to bring you into more of this call because you've been such a good support in your silence. I want to maximize the benefit of having one of our mentors on this call and maybe have you speak the final few moments of the call with us.
Well, I really enjoy what you're doing. And of course, I've gotten to be directly in touch. On my little screen right now, I got Barbara St. John, I got the Mahonies, and I got Dan. And I feel like I'm in touch with and know all of you. And there's probably others that I haven't hit the button to move around any further. Oh, and I guess I'm thinking about, your different perspectives on, what we have here, and it fits each of you perfectly, fits me perfectly. What a broad-based opportunity we have that it just fits so many people so well. And that precious moment hitting the bullseye that you were talking about a minute ago, my little note about what's in the bullseye is that thought in your mind that says, that's me.
That's me.
I can do that.
Yeah.
That's that precious moment right there that comes to bear. That's me. I can do that. And when Dan was saying, well done, good and faithful servant, that's not a bad goal for your entire life. That's a gigantic thing to receive that statement. And we're all seeking. I think we're probably all a little bit lost in our lives, but if you feel like you're on the right path, and I hope everybody here feels like, you're on the right path and you're with the right people, doing the right things. That's a wonderful feeling in our lives for sure. Oh gosh, what else was I thinking? Not everything I think is serious, because okay, when I first started this opportunity, I was a petite, beautiful, dark-haired woman, and then this started happening, and but I already knew all you guys, and I wasn't going to give that up, so I just kind of went with it. Crazy things happen, just the craziest things happen, and that now David, he's going to spend the rest of the week on the psychology of that statement. He's worried about me again, just like he was before, but I don't like to let him just be out there, totally retired. So I keep dropping these things into his hat, and sometimes he gets them secondhand from Dan, because Dan will, I float something over on Dan to see how he takes it, and he'll say, well, I don't know about that, but, and I'm thinking, okay, I missed him with that one. So that's a famous statement. I'm going to incorporate it in all my thoughts and actions. I did want to say one thing kind of quick, and we're near the end of our time, but today when I got dressed for church, I actually put on my high altitude jumpsuit, and I went and I told a story about my first boss when I came back to Nebraska after the military and I got hired at the university. There had been a fist fight between the current farm manager, which was the position I was looking at, and the agronomist. They actually came to blows, and the as it turned out, they fired the guy that had the farm manager's position. And so when they were looking through the applications for the new guy, they came to mine, and the new director of the station was brand new, and that agronomist that had caused the trouble or had the trouble opened up my application, and he said, this guy jumps out of airplanes, he can't be too smart. Well, Dave Mahoney's got the same problem. He can't be too smart either, because he's got the same problem. And Dr. Wine, who was the guy making the decision, had been on the invasion of Normandy. And he said, let me see that one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So that's just the beginning of that. And it is Memorial Day, and, you know, he's gone now. But I want to just share his story for just a real quick second, because it's so precious to me and maybe to everybody. He was a jump master. I was jump master too. So he was standing in the door, and they were right down on the deck going into the Battle of Normandy.
Mhm.
And there was gunfire coming through the bottom of the plane. The flight engineer in the front of the C-47 stood up, turned around, frantically waved and hollered, "Get out." Well, in my years as a jump master, the jump master was the last person to exit the plane. In this case, he was the first guy out of the plane. And I often wondered about that, and I think I finally figured it out. By the time his parachute opened, the plane was on the ground. He was the only person that survived out of his plane. This is the guy that was making the decision whether to hire me or not.
Wow.
So he's behind the lines. He begins walking to the Battle of Normandy on foot.
Mm.
Comes around the end of a big, hedgerow between fields, meets face to face with one German soldier who surrenders to him. The guy just surrendered to him. Give you an idea how special this situation was. The two of them wound up walking in peace together to the Battle of Normandy, parted essentially as friends.
Wow. Amazing.
What a gripping story.
So think about these kinds of things. He then went on into the headquarters, found his way. As he stepped out, an outgoing artillery round took the hearing from one side of his head for the rest of his life.
Mm.
But in his pack, and I believe this is the reason that he was one of the first ones out of the plane. Maybe it was just different than those days, because usually I would stand there and everybody'd go, and then I'd go. And that was the way it was, when I was there. But in his case, and you've done this too, you've been parachuting, Dr. Mahoney, so military. But in his pack were the crystals for the radio that directed the naval gunfire into the Battle of Normandy.
Oh my gosh.
He was supposed to
Wow.
survive.
He was supposed to survive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently, and he was the right kind of guy, very bright guy, wound up being a PhD in agriculture, and my boss for years, certainly one of the best I ever had. And so I hope that as we experience each other and you guys work with me, a little bit of him comes through, because he is certainly one of the most admired men in my life.
That's so cool.
And so thank you for asking me to say something, Dr. Mahoney and Dan and Barb. I treasure all of you. I learned from you. I'm happy to be doing this with you. Some parts of it I'm good at, other parts maybe not so good, but I think we fill in the blanks for each other.
You do. Yes.
I think that's maybe why we wind up in network marketing in the first place, is we have some tragic flaw, but that also,
Probably.
right? That also makes us very interesting, right?
Oh,
Right.
that's
So,
It makes us all realize that, team is what this is all about. Together, everyone achieves more.
beautiful.
We can't do it by ourselves. We have to have a team. And that's what you've been to us, is you've been our team leader. And then we've been our, a team leader for somebody else. And Dan's been a team leader in another sense. And some of the people that are on this call have been team
Barb and
leaders, by
Susan and Patsy,
sharing their
yeah.
stories and being on three-way phone calls with other people who they could relate to. And that's what network marketing is all about. The beautiful thing about Navan is that I think Navan is attracting the most incredible people that we've ever come across. I mean, we're looking at the people that are coming into Navan and we're going, oh my gosh, that was somebody who was really tops in one company and another one in another company. And it's like, we're attracting the people that want exactly what we have, this freedom that Navan is providing, this wonderful opportunity that we can work when we want, how we want, with whom we want, make what we want, be who we want. It's pretty incredible, pretty incredible. So we thank you and
Thank you, Chip.
appreciate
Perfect summary. Thank you so much, Ann.
being.
Beautifully done.
Thanks,
All
Beautifully
right.
done.
Thanks, Dan,
Good night,
Patsy,
everybody.
Susan,
Thanks
Marilyn,
for being with us.
Carla.
Bye, everybody.
Have a
Bye.
nice weekend.
Thanks very much.
Glad to be a part of this.
Good,
Thank you.
good. We're glad to have you.